Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are getting right into one of the trickiest areas of the MSRA SJT.
Definitely.
We're talking about the fair allocation of limited medical resources. This is where, the textbook hits the reality of busy ward, and the stakes are just incredibly high. So let's just jump straight into a scenario. I think this will feel very familiar to anyone listening. Imagine you're on a late shift surgical ward. It's completely manic, and you have one single isolation room left. Just one.
The classic problem.
Exactly. And you've got patient A, who is severely immunosuppressed. They've got suspected infectious diarrhea. So their clinical risk is, it's spiking.
Right, high risk.
Then there's patient B. They have non-infectious delirium, but they're causing a huge disruption on the ward. And their family's there. They're loud. They are demanding that room for their relative. Right now,
The pressure is on.
immense pressure. You have one resource, two conflicting needs.
Right.
How do you, as the junior doctor, possibly make that call?
And that scenario, it just perfectly captures the tension, doesn't it? You're trying to balance pure clinical need against this very real external pressure that's just pushing you to do what's convenient.
So what's the secret? What's the one-sentence takeaway for the exam?
Okay, for any resource question in the SJT, the core truth is this. You will get the highest score for prioritizing by objective need and benefit. You have to apply your criteria consistently and then communicate your reasoning with total transparency.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. Because, I get what the GMC wants ethically. But on a frantic Friday night, first come, first served, it's fast. It clears the board. It feels like you're helping everyone by keeping things moving.
I understand that temptation. It feels efficient.
Right. So this idea of criteria-led prioritization, it feels like a luxury we just don't have time for. How do we justify that time cost?
And that is the exact friction the SJT is testing. It's testing whether you choose what's easy versus what's safe. Speed is important, of course, but the exam always rewards the action that is safest, most equitable, and legally robust. First come, first served is just. Well, it's a lottery. It completely ignores clinical risk.
So in our scenario, if patient A deteriorates because they didn't get the room.
Exactly. That delay becomes unsafe, it's negligent, and it's completely indefensible under GMC guidelines. This topic is tested a lot, medium to high frequency, and it's classed as moderate to hard because those tempting, easy answers are always there.
So we're saying that the 5 minutes it takes to think it through properly is always safer than the 5-second knee-jerk reaction.
Always. Because it's anchored directly in the GMC's good medical practice. Doctors must treat patients fairly, you must not discriminate, and you have to use resources responsibly. The exam just wants to see you pick that defensible, criteria-led approach over convenience. And this means you have to act, and act immediately when you spot 3 key red flags, 3 things that are just trying to undermine the whole system.
Okay, let's hear them. What are these 3 red flags?
First one. Unsafe delays are starting to emerge. You see the waiting list, and you can see that clinical risk is actively rising for the people on it. That's a safety issue. You have to act.
Got it. What's number 2?
Second is external pressure or, a sort of VIP bias trying to jump the queue.
The consultant's relative or the local celebrity.
Precisely. That completely undermines fairness, and you have to resist it. The criteria apply to everyone, period.
And the third?
The third is opaque decisions. So you decide who gets the last theater slot, but you do it privately. You don't write down your reasoning. That just destroys trust and accountability. It's a huge no-no.
That makes so much sense. So it's safety, fairness, and transparency over convenience, pressure, or hierarchy.
Every single time.
Okay, let's get practical. What's the high-yield frame? It's 5 actions that will actually score the points when we're in that moment.
Right. This is your exam speed run. A clear, stepwise action plan.
Okay, step 1.
Step 1. Prioritize. This is the core clinical job. You allocate based on urgency, the expected benefit from the resource, and crucially, the harm if it's delayed. That's how you reduce risk.
So, clinical need first. What's next?
Step 2. Document. You have to record the criteria you used and your rationale. It's all about transparency and accountability.
And then you have to talk to the patients.
That's step 3. Communicate. Inform them about the timeframes, but most importantly, provide safety netting. Tell the person who has to wait what to look out for, when to shout for help. You're protecting them while they wait.
Right, that's so important. Don't just leave them hanging.
Never. Then step 4, escalate. If demand is just overwhelming your capacity, if the waits are becoming dangerous, you have to get senior or operational support. Site manager, duty consultant. It's a system problem, not just your problem.
Okay, and the final step.
And finally, step 5, address inequalities. You have to actively look for barriers. Is there a language issue, a disability, transport problems? You make adjustments to ensure access is genuinely fair for everyone.
That's a really comprehensive framework. But, 5 steps is a lot to remember under pressure.
Yeah.
Is there a mnemonic or trick to make it stick?
There is. To keep those actions in your head, just remember the mnemonic FAIRE.
FAIRE, F-A-I-R-E. I like it. It's appropriate. What's it stand for?
So F is for focus on need and benefit.
Okay.
A is for address inequalities. So you're looking for those barriers we just talked about.
Right. Language deprivation.
Exactly. I is for inform and document. So you communicate and you write it down.
Okay, sure.
R is for raise or escalate when you hit your limits.
Well, the E.
And E is for establish review and safety netting for everyone who's waiting. FAIRE. E.
That's brilliant. That really helps condense it.
Yeah.
You mentioned addressing inequalities, and you touched on things like NHS priorities, like Core20PLUS5. Can you quickly break that down for us?
Of course. It's basically the NHS's strategy to tackle health inequalities head on. It focuses on the most deprived 20% of the population. That's the Core20PLUS5 specific clinical areas where things are most unequal. The SJT just wants to see that you get that fairness isn't just applying the same rule to everyone.
It's about busting the barriers so the rule can work for everyone.
That's it, exactly. And you can link that to shared decision-making, too. You might remember the Brand Plus model.
Right. Benefits, risks, alternatives, nothing.
And the plus reminds you to add equity and evidence to that conversation. It just keeps fairness at the front of your mind.
So we have the framework, we have the mnemonic. Is there a visual cue, something we can picture in the exam?
Yes. Picture yourself holding a set of old-fashioned, perfectly balanced scales.
Okay.
The weights you're putting on those scales are urgency, benefit, and risk of delay. The weights are not who's shouting the loudest or who arrived first or who is the most senior doctor. If you can see those scales in your mind, you will always pick the right high-scoring answer.
I like that. The balanced scales. Let's apply this to some of the classic MSRA scenarios now.
Okay, there are really 2 dominant patterns you'll see. The first is what we've been talking about, conflicting clinical need. The resource war.
The imaging slots, the side rooms.
Spot on. A classic one is you've got 2 CT slots left. Patient A has a suspected PE, high urgency, high risk if you delay.
Life-threatening.
Right. Patient B needs an urgent MRI for chronic back pain. They might have been waiting longer. They might be complaining more.
And the temptation is just to get them done to, clear the list and quieten things down.
And that is the trap. The best action, the highest scoring one, is to prioritize the suspected PE, purely on clinical urgency. You defer patient B, but, and this is the key bit, you give them clear safety netting advice and a new time frame.
So what's really being tested there is your ability to stick to the clinical criteria over everything else.
Precisely. Need and benefit over first-come bias. It protects the patient who is most at risk.
And what's the second pattern?
Pattern 2 is about addressing access barriers. This is all about your equality duties. The best action here is always to check for those barriers and make reasonable adjustments. So if a patient with learning disabilities needs a longer appointment to make it effective, you provide it.
So the goal isn't just consistent rules, it's consistent access.
You've got it. That's the heart of it.
Okay, let's talk about the decoys, the traps. The answers that look good on the surface, but will absolutely tank your score.
Yes, this is crucial. They are psychologically very tempting because they often feel like the easiest or least confrontational path. There are 5 big traps to watch out for.
Let's hear them. Trap 1.
Trap number 1, first come, first served. We've covered this, but it's worth repeating. It scores terribly because it is fundamentally unsafe. It ignores all clinical risk.
I could see why it's tempting, though. It feels objective in a way.
It does, but it's a false objectivity. It's just a cue. Trap number 2, give the most insistent family priority. This is rewarding pressure. You must stick to your clinical criteria no matter how loud or persuasive someone is.
Right. The VIP trap. What's number 3?
Trap 3 is keep a resource idle just in case. So you hold on to that last bed or that machine because you're worried something worse might come in later.
That seems prudent, doesn't it? Planning ahead.
It feels like it, but it's a trap. Because you are causing definite harm to the person waiting now based on a speculative future harm. You have to deal with the known present need first. Then you escalate to find more capacity for later.
Use what you have for the highest need now. Okay, trap 4.
Trap 4, decide privately without documentation. As we said, It's non-transparent, it erodes trust. If you can't write down why you made a decision, it was probably the wrong decision.
And the last one?
And trap number 5, alternate by clinician seniority. The idea that the consultant's patients go first or you take turns, it completely ignores the patient's actual clinical need, which is the only thing that should matter.
That is such a clear list of what not to do. And before we wrap up, let's just go back to that escalation step. What's a good model phrase to use when you need to escalate?
Okay, something clear, professional, and urgent. Try this. Capacity is now unsafe. I'm escalating this to the site manager and duty consultant immediately while we safety net those waiting. It shows you're acting, you're communicating, and you're getting senior help.
Perfect. Okay, 2 quick FAQs that often come up. First, what if 2 cases are genuinely clinically equivalent? Same urgency, same benefit.
That's your tiebreaker moment. And the first thing you consider is still clinical. Which option is safer or less invasive? If they're still equal, then you can bring in other things, like using shared decision-making to see which patient has less personal burden from waiting. But whatever you do, you document that tiebreaker reason.
Right. And second FAQ, when exactly do I escalate? Is it when the whole ward is on fire?
No, much earlier. You escalate the moment you see that waits are becoming unsafe, or that you can no longer meet your own allocation criteria. Escalation is proactive risk management, not a cry for help when it's already too late.
That's a great distinction. Okay, let's do a rapid-fire synthesis. If X happened, you do Y.
Let's do it.
If Qs are creating unsafe delays.
Escalate to the site manager or consultant immediately and document it.
If a demanding family tries to jump the queue.
Apply your consistent criteria, document it, and firmly resist the pressure.
And if there's a language barrier getting in the way.
You offer an interpreter and accessible information. You address the inequality.
Fantastic. So if we boil this whole deep dive down, what are the 3 definitive takeaways for top marks?
Okay, 3 things to remember. Number 1, need, benefit, and risk of delay will always beat convenience, hierarchy, or first come, first served.
Always.
Number 2, equity means you need consistent criteria, and you have to be an active barrier buster. Address the language, the disability, the deprivation.
Got it. And the third?
And number 3, transparency is not optional. You must communicate timeframes, and you must record your rationale every time.
Just remember those balanced scales weighted by clinical risk, not by rank, and use that FAIRE mnemonic focus, address, inform, raise, and establish review.
That's the key.
In resource allocation, safety, legality, and equity always outrank convenience. Go and practice these scenarios, apply this framework, and you will absolutely nail this section of the MSRA SJT. For more high-yield revision content just like this, check out pastmsra.com. We'll see you on the next deep dive.